Hi, I'm Paul Bowman, CEO at Wexer, the digital fitness specialist who deliver over 25 million fitness experiences per year for our partners worldwide. Welcome to the Wexer podcast, where I'll be speaking to industry experts to bring you insights and advice to support your business journeys. In today's episode, I'll be chatting with Alberto Perlman, CEO and co-founder of Zumba, I have to say it that way, the largest branded dance fitness program in the world. It's Zumba time, Alberto. How are you?
Hey, Paul, how are you? I'm glad to be here.
Look, really stoked that you jumped on the podcast. Yeah, I classify you. I'll go big early in the podcast. I classify you as one of the smartest men in fitness. So,
Wow.
there you go. So look, I think for listeners, Alberto, what would be great to hear is actually how the story of Zumba, how was it founded? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that have been in the industry for a long time know the story, but I feel like a lot of the younger generation coming through don't know the story. So indulge us, please.
Yeah, so remember the first dot-com bubble in 1999, 2000, when everyone had a dot-com business plan, and it was the first wave of like internet madness. And I had created an incubator to incubate internet businesses related to Latin America. Latin America was just starting to be connected to the internet. And so we thought we could create new businesses based on some of the businesses that were succeeding here in the US. And we raised some money. I was 23 years old, and it was crazy. You just said .com and people would give you money. And so we raised some money for the incubator, and we started incubating all these companies in the year 2000. And then 2001 happened. 2001 was when the .com bubble popped. And so we had these companies that were just getting started. We still had some money left. And I called up the investors and said, I don't feel comfortable investing in this environment. The companies are not going to get to their next rounds. I prefer to give you the money back. And so we gave them half of the money they had given us back, and then the shares of the companies that were there. And I was out of a job. And I was out of a job at 23 years old. And I had run this internet incubator, and I felt unemployable because I had nothing else on my resume. And I was having dinner at my parents' house, and I was super sad. I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And my mom and all my cousins, every female at that dinner was talking about this class that they were taking. It was called Roomba with an R.
Yeah.
And this guy named Beto Perez, and he was teaching here in Aventura, Florida. And apparently it was like madness. This guy had packed classes, lines out the door. And at some point, my mom turned to me and said, maybe you can talk to Beto and start a gym or something. I don't know. And I said, not a gym, because I don't know anything about running gyms, but I do know a little bit about infomercials. And I think that could be a cool infomercial. It was still the time that people were buying off TV, and people were selling all these machines on TV. And Tybo had happened a few years back, and Tybo had sold hundreds of millions of dollars on VHS tapes on TV. So I go meet Beto. My mom calls him, says, I want you to meet my son. He has a business idea. And Beto's like, okay, sure. So the next day we're at Starbucks, and Beto shows up, and he tells me his life story. And his life story is amazing. Like, he grew up on the streets of Cali, Colombia, and basically dancing his way through Narcos. Imagine Narcos, Netflix series of the drug dealers. Cali, Colombia in the 80s was really like that. It was Narcos. They controlled the city. And here's this kid like dancing and getting jobs at nightclubs to dance with 50 people at the same time. Like, it's very interesting how he grew up with this backdrop. And he finally made it to Bogota. He went from Cali to Bogota. In Bogota, he met a musician who wanted him to choreograph. Her name was Shakira. And so he choreographed for Shakira.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that.
And so, but he had invented this class, and he had invented this class by accident. He really just forgot his music, and all he had was a cassette tape that he had recorded from the radio with like salsa and merengue music, and he just started dancing. He's a gifted dancer and very talented. And so people went crazy for this class in Colombia. So then he moved to Miami and started teaching here, because a lot of his clients, a lot of people taking his class a lot of the people taking his class were moving to Miami. So because it was dangerous to live in Colombia at the time. And so he's teaching here. And so I went to see his class that afternoon after I met with him and he told me his story. And what I saw was crazy. It was like they were releasing the new iPhone when people used to line up for iPhones. It was like there was a line out the door, 100 people waiting for him to start the class. They had the gym had to put a little like cage to keep people out of the Group X room, like bars, like, because people would go in during the class before Zumba to try to, like, so he put a little fence there. And so once he opened the fence, everybody ran in, like, to take the spots to be in the front. And I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. This is a fitness class. And he starts teaching the class on stage, and it was crazy. People were smiling, laughing, having so much fun. It felt like you were in a nightclub. They were drenched in sweat. And I'm like, wow, this guy, without knowing, has done what everybody has been chasing for so many years, to make fitness fun. And at that time, I told him, why don't we create some tapes? It was still VHS tapes. Create some tapes of your class and start selling them on TV. And so we did that, and started selling the tapes via television. And we thought that was it. We thought, okay, we're gonna have.
And this is what, 2002? This is 2002, 2003?
2002.
Yeah.
So 2002. We're selling the tapes on TV, and then there was this new format called DVD. So we launched DVDs. That's how old Zumba is. It's crazy. So we launched DVDs in 2003, and I had partnered with another Alberto. So we were three Albertos. Beto's also a nickname for Alberto. And I partnered with a childhood friend of mine who also came on board and joined the business. And together, the three of us founded Zumba. And we changed the name from Roomba to Zumba because we couldn't trademark the word Roomba. That was it. And so we went through the alphabet, what rhymes with Roomba, and we ended up at Zumba. And so we started selling these tapes on TV. And we thought that was it. We thought me and the other Alberto, not Beto, thought we were going to start an as seen on TV infomercial business. Like, we were going to create products and sell them on TV.
Similar to Tybo type model.
Yeah. We were going to just do that. But everything from fitness to other categories. We didn't even know anything about fitness. So we were just like, we're going to sell anything that we can sell on TV. But then people started calling, saying they wanted to take a class in person. And then other people started calling, saying, I want to become a Zumba instructor. Can you train me to become a Zumba instructor? And so they would call our office number, which was a cell phone, a little cell phone that the other Alberto had, and flip phone. And he would answer the flip phone, and they would say, I want to become an instructor. It's like, oh, we don't do that. And then after the seventh call, he's like, oh, sure, we will try. And so we started certifying Zumba instructors in 2003. And that became our mission. Once we saw that other people could teach the class like Beto did, and other people could make people feel like he made them feel, we knew that there was something really special about this. So that's the origin of Zumba.
That's amazing. And a slightly side topic, do you think, because you've seen the .com boom, do you think we're in an AI boom now?
Oh, good question. I do think there's going to be a shakeout, but just like the .com boom ended up creating all these great companies, or the precursors to all these great companies. Like, everybody thought when the .com bubble busted that pets.com was a bad idea. They were like, that pets.com was the joke. But then Chewy.com sold for billions of dollars, right? And Webvan was another joke. Everybody made fun of Webvan, which was a internet, not an internet grocery. But then Instacart did it, right? So the technology just had to mature to the point where it was feasible. And I think the same thing is going to happen with AI. There's always a rush. Everybody gets in. The technology is not completely ready. Some of the use cases are amazing, but there's going to be others that people are just reaching, but then the technology is going to catch up. There's probably going to be a shakeout. Some companies are not going to make it. And then in 10 years, every one of those ideas will be redone in a way that actually works because the technology will catch up. And that's what always happens. Same thing with blockchain. Some people is like, oh, blockchain was a joke, whatever.
True.
You know, like all these companies in the future. And the combination of blockchain and AI is very interesting because AI creates all these deep fakes, all these things that are very hard to verify. And blockchain allows you to verify. Blockchain is basically a verification technology. So think about those things together. But that's for another podcast.
No, I was going to say another podcast, but I am going to go again off script. Because what do you think about? We've been following a lot about what Disney are doing with the Star Wars films. Have you've seen they're using AI under control mechanisms, but saying so. For example, a user would be able to go on to Disney in the future and highlight the fact that, hey, I want to watch Star Wars, but I want to make it 5 hours longer, and make it through the eyes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so, of course, do you see? We're starting to see that could be a translation within fitness. So, say you take your traditional Zumba class, we put parameters on. You can't change the instructor. You can't change a few things that is agreed by content partner and platform or content partner, and then say, hey, look, I want to have Berto, but I want that class to be 15 minutes because it's actually 11 minutes right now, but I want to do it in Miami Beach. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you see that use case becoming more and more prevalent?
Definitely. And I also see music evolving, and I also see the personalization of one. I mean, why couldn't Beto say your name while you're doing the class? Because it's
totally
like you could generate all these things through AI, right? So I think it's going to be very powerful for fitness.
It's an exciting thing, and it'll be interesting to see how we're going to try and launch some version of it just as in a test case to see how the consumer uses it, because there's a feeling right now that actually maybe it's only 5 or 10% that people will actually use it. The classic people that are the achievers or the people that are already inspired fitness goers that just want to do it to themselves. So I don't think naturally an intimidated user would have the knowledge to go what they don't even know what they want, right? So they've got to see what they've got to engage with. Where maybe for the ones that are already inspired, this actually becomes a really good tech. But I've completely gone off topic. So
we have some ideas that we're working on related to AI that I can talk about offline because we're not ready yet.
Yes, perfect. I look forward to that chat. So Alberto, for many listeners are entrepreneurs and big club owners. So what I guess for you, you've been in the business since 2002. What still motivates you today? And I guess how do you keep that motivation? 2001. Sorry, yes, okay. So 2001.
So in 2005, we almost closed down Zumba. It was very hard for us. It was a very hard time. We never raised capital, so we were just bootstrapping all the way through. We would train instructors every few months. People would come to Miami and become trained. The infomercial wasn't on the air anymore. It had stopped working. We re-released it afterwards, and that's when it really hit in 2008. But 2005 was a very difficult time. And we had 700 instructors at the time, which is nothing compared to what we have now. But we knew them all by name. We were very close to them. And they knew that we were struggling. They knew that it was hard times. And we launched something called the Zumba Instructor Network in 2006. That was the idea. It was, we're going to do this membership program for instructors to make them better, to give them all the tools they need to be super successful, which was kind of revolutionary at the time. But we said, well, out of the 700 instructors, if 200 of them join, we will continue with Zumba. Otherwise, maybe there's nothing here and we'll close it down. And not only did 200 of them join when we sent out the email announcing it, 450 joined, and they wanted to pay in advance. And we said, why do you want to pay in advance? It's the same amount. And they said, because we know how important Zumba is, and you guys have been struggling, and Zumba saved my life. They kept telling, everybody kept saying the same thing. Zumba saved my life. I was able to survive an illness because Zumba was my rock every week, my hour of Zumba. I was able to leave an abusive relationship because of my Zumba girls with me, that they helped me through it, like my friends at the Zumba class. Like, there is something about Zumba that is so much more than just fitness, that we couldn't abandon them. We couldn't abandon them. And that became our driving force, is this community of people whose lives have been completely transformed. And to this day, all the time, we keep hearing those stories. And those are the stories that give us energy. Those are the stories that keep us motivated. And there's nothing like it. Some people ask me about like something called the second mountain. Have you heard of this thing, the second mountain?
Yeah, I
There's
have.
a book by David Brooks, and it's like, your first mountain is when you build a business, and then if you're successful, your next mountain, you do something like amazing for the world or whatever. I'm like, my first mountain is my second mountain. It's the same, because
you've done an amazing thing for the world.
That's just Zumba is so much good, and it brings people who have never exercised into the gyms. That is amazing. That is very powerful. What I love. That we
are. What is the secret sauce? Because I always, every gym I go to around the world, and I've been to a lot, and if they've got the Zumba community is its own Zumba, do you know what I mean? It's its own community, but it's all the same. I guess it's just driven by a compassionate community that supports each other, right? Is that the secret sauce?
Zumba people are different. You go into the gym and there's everyone, and then there's the Zumba people, right? The Zumba people are loud, they're wild, they're fun, and there's something.
A lot of bright clothes. A lot of bright
clothing. They want to be bright. They want to be loud. They want to be themselves. And dance is a form of self-expression. And even if you're following something, the moves, the way you do the moves is different than the way the instructor is doing the moves. And it's your own self-expression. And you're telling a story when you're dancing, and you're communicating with other people, and you're vibing in a way where you all become friends. So it creates this very tight community.
Yeah.
So I think the secret sauce is that the way the dance is put together, and this wasn't intentional. This was something that we realized later. The Zumba formula, the way that people dance together, that creates this magical connection between the people, that creates community. And that's why gyms love Zumba, because people stay.
It brings that community in there.
Friends.
Yeah. Well, and look, we just launched our group trends research piece and published our content stats, and Zumba I think it was so you think you can dance has been in the top 5 for Wexer plays worldwide for the last, I think, 6 years, and there's always a Zumba title since this exception of Wexer has been in the top 5. So it's not just physical. Like that's the thing. It's also it's a virtual side of it as well. There's a community feeling, and then it always amazes me when I see So I think you can dance, and you have 15 ladies, doing it. They kind of create their own culture within it because there's no leader, but the virtual session is the leader.
Still a community. So you're dancing together.
Exactly. Well done to be able to keep that fuel alive, and what you've done for the industry is very, very impressive. I guess like the bad side of the industry now is, of course, fitness instructors, in terms of finding enough. There's a large amount of talk around trying to find the right fitness instructors, can't find enough. How do you see that from a Zumba point of view?
Yeah, well, what we've seen is during the pandemic, a lot of people transitioned, left, started doing different things. I mean, the gyms were all closed, right? So it was very, very difficult coming back from the pandemic to find instructors, because people had new jobs, they were doing new things. And so slowly that's been recovering. And we actually have a service where gyms call us to try to find instructors in their area. And we have like a concierge service, and we help them audition instructors, and we'll send an email to all the trained instructors in the area, and we help gyms, clubs find the right instructors for them. And our instructors also are trained not only in Zumba, a lot of them are personal trainers. A lot of them also teach yoga, a lot of them. So they come with many talents, great skill sets. We also have our other programs. We have Strong Nation, which is our high intensity interval training program. Like if you go to strongnation.com, you can check it out. But it's like movement sync to music, but it's not dance. So you're doing squats, you're doing kicks, you're doing burpees, you're doing punches, and it's all synchronized to music and made by like amazing DJs. And so they'll teach that. And we have a program called Circle Mobility as well. And Circle Mobility is our answer to, I guess, it's not yoga. It's more about flexibility and mobility and being, having the range of motion that is required to move in this day and age.
And do you see that's the future, offering more modalities, I guess, with the Zumba spirit and community? Is that the thinking moving forward?
Yes, so we do have our 3 modalities, and we have our Zumba app as well. So we released the Zumba app that allows you to find instructors in your area, but it also allows you to take on-demand classes if you want to like try Zumba for the first time, or if you want to try a Zumba class at home. So it allows you to do that. And so for us, it's everything. For us, it's the Zumba brand. For us, it's Strong Nation and Circle Mobility. For us, it's being hybrid. So being at home, being at the gyms. But the core is always going to be the Zumba class inside the club. That is always going to be our core.
I like that. And then we've had many chats over the years in terms of technology. You've always embraced technology. Like how, in terms of engaging, such a large instructor base and getting them to see it as a positive thing, how you're servicing them, like what were the messages that you would share? Because I think, I guess my question has context in terms of, many fitness operators are going hybrid to ensure that they're relevant 24/7. Of course, what we see is that it actually increases the pie because, of course, you can work out, especially if that instructor is the one that's filmed, they become the superstar, right? Because they're actually in their homes and they're in their clubs. So, but I think a lot of people are struggling with the concept and the friction between, hey, they're trying to replace me type thing. Which from a Wexer point of view, we've always said, look, you can never ever replace the live experience. The live experience is everything. It's just how you support that live experience. But what has been your messaging?
100%. At home has always existed. And just because right now it's digital, more like it has always existed. I mean, VHS, Jane Fonda VHS tapes in the 80s, right? They thought that was going to replace gym. It never does. What it does is it brings more people into the industry, and it creates more conversations about the types of workouts that people are taking. And once someone feels strong enough to, or once someone has the time, they will go to the gym. They will go into the club and do the workout at the club because it's more fun. It's communal. People don't want to be alone all the time. And a lot of people are working from home. So they're working from home, and then they're working out from home alone. That's it. So when do they see other people? So the gym has actually become a place where people see other people. And there is an epidemic of loneliness. Huge epidemic of loneliness.
Agreed.
And the gym is one of the solutions.
Well said. And I guess what other technological advancements are you thinking? I know you can't share the AI stuff; it's not ready yet. But what's the other thinking in terms of how you're leveraging technology? I guess to reach more people and grow the pie.
Yeah. So we launched a class inside of FitXR, which is a virtual reality game, and so we are inside the Oculus and the Meta Quest Oculus, and the class is amazing, and the class is really fun. And because of the new Meta Quest headset, you actually it's hybrid, so you can actually see the room and at the same time do the class. So you're seeing like a floating avatar, and so it allows you to move around the room without bumping into furniture. It's mixed reality.
Yeah, of course.
So it's pretty cool. And we have tens of thousands of people that are doing Zumba on virtual reality. We have virtual reality on the app. It's really fun.
Really?
We have TVOS apps.
Have they got rid
everything,
have they got rid of the? And I should know this, but have they got rid of the? Well, every time I did it with the headset, and the points in the room, so it's not the same feeling.
Sorry, I missed you because you froze. Do you see me well?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, it's okay. I can hear you, see you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay,
You can hear
so
me?
you were talking about I didn't catch the whole thing, but I think you were talking about sim sickness.
I'll do. Yeah, I'll do the question
simulation
again. Yeah, so
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, how
Frame
have they
rate.
solved the simulation sickness?
So the way they solve it is by increasing the frame rate. Every new device
Yeah,
has more frames per second. The reason that people get simulation sickness is because it's not the same frames per second as reality. So when you move your head,
yes,
the frames per
yes,
second is not the same as the real world. It's approaching the real world now. Meta Quest 3 is so much better than 2. And Apple
right.
Vision Pro, which we're not on
Yeah,
right now, also has a
of course.
much higher frame rate. So it'll get there. It'll get
Yes.
there. And at some point,
Yeah, of
it'll
course.
be almost seamless and it'll work. It's one of those techs, again, one of those technologies that has a big bump, then it comes down, and then it becomes completely real.
Yeah, no, I understand. And then what's always impressed me about Zumba as well is that you've been able to engage the younger generations as well. So there's been so many fitness modules or modalities or the rest of it that it's kind of aged with time, and then it's only those particular people at that age group that engage with it. It hasn't been able to kind of regenerate itself. Like how have you done that? Is that specific, or is it the power of the community that flows through generations?
Yeah, I think it's the part of the community. I think it's moms taking their daughters, and then their daughters find it fun, and then the daughters do it in college. There's a Zumba class in every college in America. I think every university has Zumba, and I think it has become sort of like you have to have yoga, you have to have Pilates, you have to have Zumba. Like it's kind of like become. A lot of people don't even know we're a company. A lot of people think we're just a type of exercise. So it's kind of like become better. We're very proud of that. Now, another technology I didn't mention is all the technology we give our instructors. So our instructors have several apps. One of them is called ZinPlay, Zoom Instructor Network Play, ZinPlay. And ZinPlay allows them to watch choreographies that they want to learn, the music that we put out and the music that we license. They watch it, they learn it. It has many types of tools that help them learn it, slow motion and reverse, like all these. The video player is amazing. And then if they like that song and they want to integrate it into their playlist, they just add it to their playlist. And in their playlist, they're allowed to sync the music together. They can add water breaks. They can speed up the music. They can slow down the music. So it's like a DJ app connected to like an education app. So it's
fantastic, and just making it easy for them to do what they're good at.
I don't think anybody else has that. And the other one we have is called Class Buzz, and Class Buzz allows them to create marketing materials. It's kind of like Canva, so they can take all the Zumba patterns and the Zumba logo and all these things and create their own flyers that they can then post on social. It's a marketing app.
Yeah, that's helpful, and I imagine the feedback's very, very good, because you're helping them do what they do best, right? Let them actually do the sessions and motivate the people, and we'll sit around that.
Yeah, most of them use it.
Well done. And then I guess looking ahead, for the broader industry as well as Zumba, how do you? What do you think? What are you excited by within the industry, and what are you a little bit worried about within the traditional commercial fitness industry?
So I think the whole GLP-1 trend is something to be seen. Whether it makes people exercise more or whether people think it's a replacement for exercise. And it's already been proven that people need to exercise because there's a lot of issues if they don't. Both cardio and strength. They need muscle protection, but they also need to be working their cardiovascular system as well. And so GLP-1 is something that makes me curious, maybe a little nervous, but curious, and maybe it'll be good for the industry. So we don't know yet. I think Planet Fitness, I think, said that they're
Alberto,
seeing a lot
I
of
might
people.
you say that again. Yeah,
Did
Sorry,
you?
Alberto.
Where was I?
Oh, I think I've lost you.
Can you hear
sir.
me? Can you hear
The
me?
internet's gone on your side.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Let's let it catch up. Yeah, I can hear you, but you've completely frozen up completely. Oh, okay.
Can you hear me? So I took the
I can
camera
hear you.
off.
Yep.
Should I
See if it's better.
turn it back on? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, let's try and turn it back on. Everyone wants to see that lovely face. Yeah, that's okay. Yep. Usually, every time I've done a podcast with someone, they're like, "Oh, my son's on Fortnite," or "My son's doing something like this."
Probably.
Yeah.
One game I'm waiting
I'll
for
ask.
is I want virtual reality Fortnite.
That would be cool. That would be 100 or Grand Theft Auto or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me.
Yeah.
For the editors, let me ask that question again, if that's okay. We'll start again because it's combat clear. It just for some reason something's spiking on yours and coming back down. Okay, I'll ask again. So Alberto, looking ahead for the industry in general, commercial fitness industry as well as Zumba, what are you looking forward to? What's the opportunities that we have that you think we should execute on, and of course, also what's the threats that we have to overcome?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to innovations driven by AI in the industry. I am curious, and I don't know if nervous is a word, but just watching carefully the impact of GLP-1 in the industry. A lot of these people that are taking Ozempic or Wegovy or one of the GLP-1 drugs, some of them might be driven to work out because now they feel more confident, but others might try to replace their workout by taking GLP-1s, which would be unfortunate because there's so many benefits of working out, especially for people who are on GLP-1. So that's something that's, I think, going to be an interesting thing to watch for the industry.
And I think I don't know what I've been following this quite a lot and asking as many questions as for GLP-1s, and I think the research shows that longevity, people need to manage their metabolism, and so strength training becomes more prevalent in terms of them having more success. Is that what you're seeing as well? Well, what are you reading, I guess?
Yeah. Yes, I'm reading that, but I'm also hearing from doctors that people need to be working their cardiovascular system as well. You just can't do GLP-1 and only do strength and no cardio, because then you reduce your VO2 max, and you have potential other issues down the road. So muscle protection is the first issue, but then you don't want to have your VO2 max keep coming down because you're not doing any cardio.
Yeah, you still want to be able to climb up the stairs so you can actually live better, rather than just look great and maybe be reasonably strong, but not be able to be anything functional. No, I like it. Okay, good. Well, and then Alberto, how do people connect with you?
At the Zumba convention, August 8th to August 12th in Orlando.
August 8th to August 12th. Is going to be amazing. Everyone get to that. Connect with Alberto. To be honest, I can remember always, I think it was FIBO. I was walking with you, and I don't think it took me so long to walk with you to where we were going to meet, because everyone was coming up to you constantly. So it's hard to get time with you, sir, at these conventions.
This one's going to be great. So I hope to spend time with you and everybody else who wants to come to the Zumba convention.
Thank you, Alberto. What a pleasure to speak with you today, my friend. I'm sure our listeners have learned so much about the history of Zumba, and I'm excited to see the developments that you're going to bring to the table in our industry with VR and AI technologies. We will all watch this space to see what's in store for Zumba next. Looking forward to it. Thank you again, Alberto.